Sorry about that. We seem to have had a bit of an issue there. Hopefully we don't have any more of those. So where were we? We were going through the order before the stream cut. But let's just start at the top again. Obviously Cheddar, he is on provisional pole, 129.85. Then changed in second on a 129.88. 300ths of a second. Cover the front row. Then not far behind, Ulrich in third. Followed very closely by Panda in fourth. Again, second row just separated by 300ths of a second. Just having some technical issues tonight, everything from the game to the PlayStation to the internet, but here we go again, and let's give it another shot. We've got 8 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Remember, for season 8 here at JPR, we will not be running the full qualifying as we have done in the past, so down to a short quali session, just 18 minutes. Go out there and do as many runs as you possibly can. As you can see, 2 drivers yet to set a lap time, so they will be under pressure with probably just the one run. Not Shumi, he is on an attempted fast lap. MJ, the other one with no lap time, he is on an out lap. Very busy circuit at the moment. The Aston Martin could be providing a nice slipstream to the Alpine behind him there. Cheddar, he's on a second fast lap. Previous best, a 129.855. And that is your provisional pole sitter. Man in second remains in the pits. And as I say, provisional pole sitter, that comes to an end. Not Shumi, 129.6. New benchmark. New challenge. Who's up for it? Cheddar's up for it. He's on a fast lap. Got quite a few cars out in front of him. Hopefully traffic will not impede this lap time. Currently second with that 29.855. Needs to find himself at least 2/10 to reclaim provisional pole. And no movement from the Red Bull garage. Let's have a look. Where is the second Ferrari of MJ? Yet to score a lap time. I'm not sure if he's been out and had invalidated laps, or just abandoned laps, or if this is his first attempt. If so, he's leaving himself quite the challenge. Nicely done. He does go over the line and get that lap time. It's going to be a 1:33.5, and it's good enough for P15. Apnagozi retires from the session. I think he's had enough time to prep for the race. Natsumi comes into the pits. Provisional pole sitter, second and third, both sitting in the pits. Next fastest man that is out on circuit, that is the Williams driver Ulrich, currently in 4th place, 130.0. The new straight that now goes past a grandstand that faces the wrong way. And Ulrich is on his way into the pits. No one at the front of the field, no one in the top 5 out on circuit. All of those 5 drivers remain in the pits, waiting for the perfect moment to get out on track. Top Gun returns to the pits. Nuclear Monkey, he's out on a lap. Heno, he's out on a lap. And MJ returns to the pits. We await now these top 5 dormant cars in the pits. We want to see when do these guys come out. Will it be one triggers the other 4? Well, they all come out at once. And as you can see, those times are really close. So I think anything really between the top 7 could still have a major shake-up. Panda, he is the first of that top 5 to emerge from the pits for an outlap. He's looking to improve on 5th place. Currently that is a 130.094. If he's able to find himself half a second, it's good enough for pole. He will know if he has half a second in him or not. On his previous run, if there was a mistake there, he'll know exactly where the mistake was. So if he does have half a second, I believe he knows he does. Ulrich, the Williams in 4th place, now also emerging from the pits to have his final run. Top 3 still remaining in the pits, waiting for the next one to pounce with just over 2.5 minutes remaining. Don't want to let it get too late. Panda 5th, Ulrich 4th, both out on circuit, but Panda is on that fast lap. He's approaching sector 2 now. Let's ride on board with him. Have a look how he's hitting some of these curbs. It may not be as tight as Monaco, but it's just so much faster. So while it's not as claustrophobic as Monaco, it's just as easy to hit the walls. Absolutely no room for error, no gravel traps, no long tar runoff areas, just a few escape roads, and you'll be lucky to find one. But for most of these corners, lose it, and you're done. Into the makeshift chicane under the bridge. Now into this final corner. And he does not improve, stays with a 130.0, still good enough for 5th place. But just a minute remaining on the clock. So he'll be hoping that none of the cars behind him find a couple of tenths. Ulrich, he's out on circuit. He's on his fast lap. He's currently 4th place, also a 133.0. 30.0, sorry. And your top 3, not Shimmy, Cheddar and Shane, find themselves all on an outlap. In fact, Shane has just started his fast lap. We will ride here with Ulrich, as he should be the first of the fastest men over the line. Then we need to focus on that top three. I think Shane will be the first one over the line for those top three. I think he was the first one out of the pits. So here goes Ulrich over the line. Is he able to improve? Yes, he does improve, but it's not enough to change his position. A 133.007. Next driver in focus. Currently a 129.8. That is Shane in one of the Red Bulls. He's currently third. Cheddar not far ahead. Doesn't need too much. Doesn't need to find much time to change his position. But if he wants to get a provisional pole, he needs to find at least 2/10 and hope that Natsumi doesn't have more in the tank. Cheddar goes over the line and sets the fastest lap, and I think that might be pole position unless one of these two have more in the tank. A 129.3. We ride on board now with Natsumi. Is he able to improve? Does he have another 3/10? Yes, he does, but he had about 2.5 tenths. Natsumi into second on a 129.3. And Shane goes over the line, and I'm not sure, is he going to give it another go? That was a 129.8, so no improvement there, still third. Still a lot of battery charge, so I wonder if he made a mistake on that previous lap and he's having another go. But the checkered flag has fallen, and that is officially it. Everyone has a checkered flag next to the name, otherwise they're in the pits, so that's the end of the session. Just the one qualifying session, so we'll be heading straight on into the race after this. As for your results, Cheddar takes pole position in your season opener. Then we have Natsumi in second, Shane third, Ulrich fourth, Panda in fifth, Venom in sixth, Shake seventh, Dean in eighth, Kev ninth, Dan Ritfeld making up your top 10. And then outside your top 10 in 11th we have Pantry Star, Destroyer in 12th, Top Gun 13, Nuclear Monkey 14, Heno 15, MJ in 16th, and making up your field, Apmagozi, who retired earlier on in the session. Welcome to those who are watching, and those who are in the comment section. Sorry, I haven't been looking at the comments as of yet because we've been having so many issues. Well, no driver warned me of this, but yeah, we're looking at the pit lane, and I see raindrops. And what a place for it to rain, under the lights of Singapore, with that tar reflecting back at you. This could be quite the challenge, but wet weather is predicted for Sunday's Singapore Grand Prix. Getting straight on into the race. It's 5 red lights and we're underway. A little bit of a pause, but here we go. Everyone seems to be on the intermediate tyre. I didn't see the colour, but I think I saw grooves on those tyres. Let's just have a look. Cheddar, he maintains his first place. Shane in second. Panda, he's made up positions. He's up into third, as has Shakes. He's made up 3 positions at the start. He's up into fourth. Biggest loser at the start there, that has to go to Natsumi. He's lost 3 positions at the start. And Ulrich as well, jumped by his teammate. Venom holds firm in 7th place. That's where he started. Kev and Dan Ritfeld each make up a position. They're up into 8th and 9th. And that was at the cost of Dean. He's lost 2 positions down to 10th. Back at the front, Cheddar leads the way for Alpine. He's followed by Shane. In the Red Bull, we have a virtual safety car. Race will be neutralized for the time being. Looking for the incident, and the incident is a McLaren. We have Nuclear Monkey, and that is a DNF for him. So I'm not sure if he just made contact with the wall. That could very much be the case. Luckily just the virtual safety car, no full safety car at least confirmed for now, and hopefully will be underway shortly. That car has been cleared from the track. For the time being, Cheddar leads from Shane and Panda up into 3rd. And that madness at the start of the race all just got calmed down for a second. Now Shane coming back at the Alpine, and the Alpine pops himself into the pits. Wonder if he had damage on there. If he did, we didn't see it. Cheddar, he falls down the order now because he's going to be in the pits, and the field is pretty close together, so he's going to lose a whole stack of positions. Natsumi back up into 3rd place, so reclaiming some of the positions he's lost. He needs to now catch the top 2 because a little bit of a gap has formed, 2.5 seconds back to 3rd place. But before he can do that, he needs to shake off a very eager Williams, and that's what pressure does. You've got the car right on your gearbox. He's filling up your mirrors. It's raining. And really, if you're not concentrating on absolutely everything at once, a mistake is just around the corner. Excuse the pun. And here we have a virtual safety car yet again. MJ has got a 5-second penalty, and that was for a collision with one of the Red Bulls. That was with Heno. So collision between Heno has now caused another virtual safety car. Luckily we haven't had a full safety car in this race. Welcome Bumpun to the stream. Don't see you out on track. Actually just noticed. Where is Bumpun? Why aren't you out on track? But on track, oh, and that's a big one, that's a big one. We just saw Williams go all the way around. There we go, that's Ulrich. You can see the name going down the order, coming around the last corner. Just got on the power a little bit too early. The track's very wet. And, yeah, just a little bit greedy on the final corner there. Loses it on the beginning of the straight into the pit wall. And again, virtual safety car. I wonder, is safety car switched on? Because this is our 3rd virtual safety car. I have no one to blame for my lack of knowledge. It would probably be a good idea for the commentator to read the rules. But Does make me wonder if safety car is off, but we are underway again. Shane leads from the Williams of Shakes, and as we say that now, Venom gets up into third place for the AlphaTauri. Top three now, Shakes. Make it Shane, Shakes, and Venom. Venom entering into the podium positions with that AlphaTauri, and he's got a bit of clean air ahead of him. Down in fourth place, we have quite the battle. Dean holding on to fourth place for all it's worth, but he's got a string of cars behind him from Kev, Dan Rittveld, Notsumi, Pantry Star, everyone looking to get through. And we have a Ferrari that will join that queue very shortly if things don't change, but for the time being, Dean holding everyone back. Remember, much more difficult to pass in the rain. You're not going to have the benefit of DRS. Also, a lot easier to defend when you don't have to pray every time you get to a straight. Person behind you is not going to have DRS. Makes it so much easier to defend. So if you can hold on to your lines at a track here like Singapore, it's not going to be easy. And there we go, that's just confirmation that safety car is in fact working. There's our first safety car of the race. It's going to be lap 4 of 31. Keep that in mind. Just 4 laps into this race. Don't know how many will take advantage of it and jump into the pits, as it is pretty early, so these tires are pretty new and there's nothing to change onto. You're just going to get onto another set of inters. So don't expect the flurry of pit stops that you usually see during a safety car. I expect everyone to pretty much stay in this order unless they have some sort of damage. Last time I looked, we just had the 17 drivers. Now there's suddenly 18, and that second driver is immediately DSQ'd. So Brad, if it's Brad, sorry you couldn't make it. Not sure what happened there. Still under safety car conditions. Shane leads from Shakes. And I have Dean in third, Kev fourth, Dan Rittveld fifth, Pantry Star sixth, Top Gun seventh, Venom in eighth. And I'm not going to go down the list because they are making pit stops and everything's changing as I'm reading. And while these drivers take a bit of a break, I'll be back in just a minute. We are back. It's lap 5 of 31. No real changes in the order. We do have MJ down in 15th with a drive-through penalty. That one will really hurt in the rain because now you're under a safety car and you can't serve that penalty under safety car. So at the end of the safety car, you're going to have to come into the pits and have that whole queue run away from you while you're cruising down the pit lane not the speeds you want to be doing in a Formula 1 car. Not much to say about the race at the moment. We're under safety car. There's light rain falling, as I've mentioned many times before, and as Atmagosi has mentioned many times before. It would be great to have some sort of weather system here in spectator mode, so we can also have an idea of what is happening. Commentators in real life are not so in the dark about the weather. If you are watching and you do have knowledge of what the weather is supposed to do, let me know. Is it going to be intermediate till the end? Is it going to get more wet? Is it going to get dry? Who knows? Let me know if you do. And obviously, a safety car in a race like this does change things very, very much, because I don't know, is it going to get dry? Is it going to stay like this? But for example, if you were going to have a dry stint at the end of the race of 5 laps or so, now that you're driving slowly behind the safety car for a couple of laps, that stint is going to come earlier on in the race. Obviously, if it does rain, and there we go, thank you Black Viper for the confirmation. I believe that is a confirmation. It says here wets for the entire race. I'm presuming that's the same category of wet, so not going from inters to wets, we're just going to stay on inters for the majority of the race. Remember, if a race is wet for the majority of the race, the mandatory pit stop rule does fall away. Thanks for that, Black Viper. So at the beginning of the race, the game is suggesting inters all the way. And remember, if it's a rain start to finish, if you can make those tyres last an incredibly long time, I'm not sure if it's possible or not, haven't tested it, but the mandatory pit stop does go away, so you can finish this race without visiting the pit lane. Lap 7 of 31, Shane leads the way, Shakes in second, Dean in third. 3 manufacturers in the top 3, in fact. Wow, look at that. Further I go down, the more it is. 9 manufacturers in the top 9. That would be an amazing day in F1. We have a yellow flag. I'm not sure what it's all about, but we do seem to have a yellow flag out on track. But Shane's still in front, 3/10 of a second is the gap for the lead. Then third place a little further back, just under 2 seconds. Then Kev, he's in fourth, and he's leading a bit of a train. Behind him, he has Dan Rittveld, Pantry Star, and Top Gun. And Panda looking to join that queue shortly. Going to have a very under pressure Alpine if he can't get away from that queue and make Dan Rittveld the new leader of the queue. He seems to be doing that. He's opening up a bit of a gap now. 9/10 of a second. He's been able to pull away from Dan Rietveld, so getting away from that queue. No change at the front. Leader is still the Red Bull. Good race. Ice shakes so far. Was able to get himself up into second pretty early on in the race and has maintained that position. And he's kept the Red Bull honest. Gap at the front, no much more than half a second. Dean is third, Kev is fourth. And he has managed to get away from that queue. In fact, that queue has broken up severely. Pantry Star, the first of the Alpha Tauris, he's in 6th place. I believe he made the switch from Aston Martin to Alpha Tauri. And now he's coming under pressure from a Haas. Dan Rietveld thinks about going up the inside, thinks better of it, then tucks behind the Alpha Tauri on the next straight. Oh, how much easier that would have been if DRS was in the race. Lap 9 of 31. It has been a very tame race up until now. And we have a safety car. I wasn't looking at the screen for a second there, and I just heard this car sounding very sick, and when I looked up, there we go, safety car, and that safety car is going to be for Venom in an Alpha Tauri. Becomes our second DNF, and now I'm seeing Top Gun falling down the order. So that means 3 retirements. Shane going into the pits. Let's just have a look. Obviously another set of inters, or are we expecting wets? No. Just a fresh set of intermediates. And it seems like a lot of cars have decided to do the same thing. So he does lose track position, but not by much. And he will have the benefit of new rubber. Pompun. You don't need to look for somebody to beat Shane. You need to get yourself on track. You almost did it last season. Just need to get yourself back on track. And not in the comment section. So on lap 10, we have a second safety car. I believe we've had 3 virtual safety cars and 2 full safety cars. I'm going to have to start to write this down. I'm going to lose track. Shane, with that pit stop, has actually emerged from the pit lane in 5th place. So he does give up 4 positions. Luckily for him, the car directly in front of him is his teammate. Don't think we'll see too much of a defense from Henno. He will probably let his teammate go on by, and then he's got the top three ahead of him. But obviously those Inters are going to be a little bit more aged. That's just confirmation. Shane, brand new set of Inters, and then Shakes, Panda, first and second, 9-lap old Inters. And Notsumi obviously choosing not to pit because he had already made a visit to the pits and his Inters are just 5 laps old. So at the restart, Notsumi and Shane should have a slight advantage of newer rubber. And the same applies for most of the back of the field. A lot of those cars did pit. I've said it many times, safety car can be extremely annoying if you are dominating a race. You pull out a 10-second gap, that takes a lot of work. Safety car comes in, destroys your gap. But if you're at the back, or if you've had damage, or if you've had a little bit of a too dramatic race, every time the safety car does come out, with the exception of if you caused the safety car, you get a second opportunity. People go in for pit stops, you make up positions, and all of a sudden things can look quite different. Your leader has not made a pit stop. 10 laps on the Inters. How far can the Inters go? Can they go race distance? I'm not sure. Can they go halfway? How many more safety cars will we see? And another thing, you tend to use less fuel in the rain, if I'm not mistaken. So with all these safety cars, virtual safety cars, and weather, I really hope these guys underfueled. Otherwise we're going to have some very heavy fuel tanks at the end of the race. Field going very slowly, and that usually indicates that the safety car is coming in this lap. When that safety car enters the pit lane, Shakes will become effectively the safety car. You can get as close as you want, but you can't pass him until the start-finish line. And there we go, he jumps on the final corner, gets a bit of a bad exit, car gets a bit shaky, and that allows the Alfa Romeo to come back at him. Panda second, Notsumi third. And then Shane a little bit further behind in fourth place. Seems like the top three got the jump on the Red Bull. And now Dean making up a position up into fourth place for the lone running Mercedes-Benz. For the time being, man who spent the entire race in the top three now leads. Williams of Shakes. It'd be great to see a Williams in the lead come Sunday's race, but Williams doesn't seem to be the right car for Singapore. But as far as the virtual world goes, this Williams is doing fantastic. How much longer until the age of those tires will have an effect on the leader? Will they have an effect on the leader? In fact, we've just seen a whole bunch of penalties come up on our screens. Didn't notice those before, but Notsumi, Dean and Shane, that's third, fourth and fifth place. have each received 5-second penalties. So they have just given themselves a little bit more difficult of a job. Luckily for them, it's lap 13 of 31 of a very chaotic race, and I don't think we've seen the end of the safety car, so by no means is anyone out of this race until they DNF. Shakes leads, but just there in second you can see Natsumi goes up the inside, takes the Alfa Romeo and claims second place. And his next goal will be the Williams up the road, and remember, he's going to have slightly fresher inters, not new inters, but slightly fresher than what the Williams is running. Panda in third, he's just lost that position and starting to now come under pressure from the Mercedes in fourth. Pantry in fifth. Dan Rietveld, sixth place. Kevin seventh. Ulrich, who has my racing number, apparently. There we go. 84. It's more than one, who knew? He was looking very promising at the start of the race, but lost a lot of positions and finds himself in 8th place. But like we've said, if we do have further safety cars, still so much can happen. Cheddar 9th. Destroyer, your final point sitter. We have MJ in 11th, Shane on a recovery drive in 12th place. It's followed by his Red Bull teammate, Heno, and Magozi making up the field. Guys at the back of the field there, they'll be hoping for a safety car. With some of the gaps at the back, that's really going to be the only option. Just to show you those gaps at the back, Shane is in 12th, but he's 18 seconds adrift from 11th place. So needs to cover a lot of time. And I think a safety car is going to have to factor in there. But so far, seems like everyone is getting along. No need for a safety car just yet. And as I say that, look in the background. Look in the background. We do have a yellow flag. I saw an AlphaTauri facing the wrong way. Never ever say things have calmed down on a street circuit, because as you do, something will happen in the background. Obviously, this being the first race of Season 8, this is a great opportunity to get great points, start the championship off well. So far, as far as the Constructors' Championship goes, the best performing team on the night has to be Williams. They are currently 1st and 6th. Alfa Romeo and Alpine also have 2 cars in points scoring positions. Shakes leads the way from Natsumi. That gap just over a second, 1.1 seconds. Obviously, no DRS to help you get past. If you have a very good defensive driver, you're going to have a very difficult time getting past. DRS definitely makes the race more interesting when it comes to passes. But as far as the famous defensive drives in Monaco of the past, where Senna would keep a driver behind him in a superior car for an entire 70 laps, that we will never see a performance like that, because DRS simply makes it impossible. So when we do get conditions like this, we get to see the art of defensive driving, which is something that's disappeared from F1. Alpine up the inside. Was looking to go up the inside, didn't quite work out, but he's all over the gearbox of the Alfa Romeo. That is the closest battle we currently have on track. Kev and Panda fighting for fourth. Everybody else having pretty comfortable gaps. Obviously, speaking of safety cars, Singapore is home to a very special safety car. Remember Crashgate? Obviously, Crashgate getting one of the best team bosses I've ever seen, an F1 ban for life. Not sure how that F1 ban for life works, because he has been seen in the paddock recently. That's obviously Flavio Briatore, famous Italian team boss who refused the Ferrari job because he said he didn't want to work with, wait for it, Italians. He said they're full of, I'm sure you could guess. Back to the action in the race. Shakes leads from Dean. Natsumi down to third, so he has lost a position. Let's just see what penalties are on screen. There are some penalties there. Second and third both have penalties. Those are 5-second penalties for each. I'm presuming that has something to do with speeding in the pit lane. No 3-second penalties as of yet, because trying to cut corners in Singapore in this weather, it's not something really desired. We have a few cars now coming into the pits. Is that a Williams, I believe it is? Yes, that is the Williams of Shakes. He comes into the pits. We have a new race leader, the Mercedes-Benz. Dean leads the race. His intermediates are not brand new, but they're relatively fresh, just the 8 laps. Wonder how much further he can take those. If anybody in the comment section did do a bit of practice for this race and then couldn't make the race, or if you've done any practice in intermediate conditions, let me know. How long do the inters last, and how long are they good? Because there's no point in was that a Williams? Well, look at that, we've had 2 retirements. Ulrich and Atmagosi. And surely no safety car. We have a yellow. No safety car. Dean leads from Natsumi, Kev third, Pantry Star fourth. And Cheddar coming back nicely into the race. Thanks again for the comment section, because the game provides me with no information. So apparently these tyres are good for about 15 laps. Pretty much, if it was a less eventful race, you'd probably want to pit at approximately halfway and simply use 2 sets of inters. Dan Ritfeldt, your next DNF. Not sure what happened to the Haas driver, we weren't focused on him. And now Cheddar also losing positions, but luckily that's just him being in the pits. Eno in 9th, soon to come under pressure from a Ferrari. Three-second time penalty. We just spoke about the 3-second time penalties, and the first one does come up on screen. It's for Shane, making his race a little bit more difficult. If you do manage to find your way into the lead, you then need to open up a 3-second gap to secure that lead. Let's have a look. Where are the closest battles on track? This is the closest battle on track, and as I get to the battle, it's no longer a battle. MJ makes a bit of a mistake on the entry to the corner, and that just allows the gap to reopen to just over a second. No other fights on circuit. First and second separated by 2.5 seconds. Third place a further 3.5 seconds down the road. Top 3 covered by 5 seconds. Then Pantry Star in 4th, a further 5 seconds back. In fact, 20 seconds cover your top 5. Not a particularly close race. I think the guys in the best situation are the guys who got their strategy as close to that basic one stop. Others have made I'm sorry, but I almost I had to pause there. I almost laughed out loud on the stream, and I shouldn't do that, but look at the timing screens. I know I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of funny. That Red Bull in 8th place is not on the preferred tyre. I'm not sure, but Shane has emerged from the pits on a set of mediums. Let's ride on board with him and see what this looks like. Either this is going to be the gamble of the season, or his pit crew just he's not getting around these corners very comfortably. I think I'm not even sure how the pit crew does that. If it's a fully wet race, why would the dry tyre even be an option? We'll keep an eye, see what Shane does next. Obviously he's on a set of mediums. I expect him to come back into the pits and rectify the problem, and that'll probably put him just behind his teammate Henno. But both Red Bulls are in the points. As for your leader up front, Dean leads by 1.5 seconds from Natsumi. We're still very much in this race. But remember, first and second place have 5-second penalties. If those are pit stop related penalties and they pit again, they'll obviously serve them in the pit lane. If they don't, 5 seconds will be added to the race time. So as things stand, Kev is only about a second away from a race victory. More like 1.5 seconds away from a race victory. But really, Kev just needs to stay as close as he can to these top two, and he could potentially win this race if he doesn't have any more stops. Alpine driver in a very strong position. We'll have a look now. Natsumi, he's coming into the pits. We'll see, does he serve that 5-second penalty in the pits, or is this something that's going to be added at the end of the race? Hopefully he does not go for the set of mediums. Seems to be a popular choice. There we go, he did serve that penalty. Or the team just forgot what was going on for a second. And he's taken another set of inters and he's on his way. Again, just no real battles on track. Making a highlights package of this race would be quite difficult. At least if we had the footage of some of those DNFs, could try put a highlights package together. But as far as battles on track, hasn't been much, at least in the second half of this race. Closest battle we have is a battle for 6th place. That is between Cheddar and Natsumi. An Aston Martin and an Alpine. So many teams starting with the letter A. Luckily next season we will lose 2 of them. Obviously from next season Alfa Romeo will be no more. They will be back to Sauber. But interestingly enough, Alfa Romeo will become the one of the naming sponsors of Haas. So you will have the MoneyGram Haas Alfa Romeo, something like that. And Alpine confirmed to have a rename. That name though, not yet confirmed. Every now and then I'll jump onto a car and they'll look like they're going particularly slowly and I'm like, wait a second, is it a safety car? And then I go, no Jonathan, it's just the rain, and that's obviously why I crash in the wet. So I'll try and go through the corners just this quick. Not a good plan. Dean still leads the way. That gap has grown to 6 seconds, but now a battle is forming for 2nd place. It's the Williams all over the back of the Alpine. That's for 2nd place. Shakes chasing down Kev. And we also have a battle just down the road for 4th place with Panda all over the back of Pantry Star. Let's go back to the 2nd camera angle this game offers out of 2. Just have the TV part and the broadcast. Can't give you anything too creative. Fastest lap of the race. Not sure why there was no name there, but it just says Aston Martin. I presume that is not Shumi, as he is the remaining Aston Martin in this race. Panda does get through. Panda does get through. Nicely done. He gets through on the AlphaTauri. Will the AlphaTauri come back at him? Seems like he's just got better traction out of the corners, and he's already opening up a bit of a gap. 0.8 of a second there. Gap that hasn't opened up. Shakes all over the back of the Alpine. Shakes spent a lot of this race in second place, and then he spent another big portion of this race leading the race. Now he's in third. He wants that second place back, and obviously once he's in second, close that gap as much as possible to the Mercedes-Benz ahead of him. Remember, you won't have to pass him on track. That Mercedes-Benz has a 5-second penalty. Shakes has been able to finally clear the Alpine, and immediately 0.7 of a second already the gap. He's going to start chasing after your leader. The gap currently 5.4 seconds, but your leader has a 5-second gap. So really, Shakes is 0.2 of a second away from the lead of this race. Probably the most comfortable position you could be in. It's when you're comfortably within the penalty of your rival, and you don't even need to pass him on track. Just need to make sure you're fast enough to run away from those behind you, and just maintain that gap under 5 seconds. And you will win the opening race of Season 8 here in Singapore. Kev in the Alpine falling back now, 2.3 seconds adrift from Shakes, and he is gaining ground. He's gaining a lot of ground. Not sure, we didn't see it, but did the Mercedes make a mistake? Doesn't seem to have any visible damage on the car, but that Mercedes definitely made a mistake, because look at that gap. It came down from 4.6 seconds to just 2 seconds in the space of a few corners. And Shakes now definitely the leader of the race, according to your official timing. So the Mercedes leads, but only on the time board. Wonder if he will come in and do another pit stop. Let's have a look at the tyre situation. How old are those tyres? They are 16 laps old. The predictions we've seen in the comment section is that these tyres can do, or are good for, about 15 laps. So either he's going to come in, do a pit stop, lose that position, and have to serve the 5 extra seconds, or he's really going to try and stretch those tyres, but surely those tyres are not going to be in great shape 5 laps from now. Shakes isn't worried about the penalty. He wants to win the race on track. He wants to make the pass on track. And he's all over the back of that Mercedes-Benz. Still all over the back of the Mercedes-Benz, but doesn't want to make a mistake, doesn't want to do anything rash. Driver in front of him does have a penalty. Really just want to make that pass when you're absolutely sure of it. No reason to make a lunge and potentially lose your 25-point advantage at the beginning of the season. Looks towards the inside, and wow, okay, Ferrari, that just worked out perfectly. They came through that traffic. That could have been very messy, but the Ferrari managing to get out of the way. Obviously that is MJ, just the one Ferrari in this race. His teammate Top Gun retired quite some time ago. No change at the front. Dean still leads. You see, this is what a race without DRS can do. If you're able to hold your lines and you're able to get superior traction out of the corners, you can make it incredibly difficult for a man to get past you without a very aggressive move. Shakes now does pick up a 3-second penalty, so he's going to be getting a little bit annoyed there behind the Mercedes, probably forcing him into a mistake as he's trying to go offline, looking for new ways to get past, trying different lines, and probably just going over a curb one too many times. He picks up a penalty of his own, but now goes side by side with the leader into turn one. Do they give each other the room? Yes, they do. Who's going to come out in the lead on the other side? It's the Mercedes. Yes, it is. He gets better traction on the outside of the track and he stays in the lead, and Shakes, his frustration will continue. Fantastic battle at the front, and really the only battle on track. So we get to follow the leaders and not feel guilty. See, there are a few teams with 2 cars in the points. Just 10 drivers remain on track. So finishing the race means you are in the points paying positions. Good way to start a season. Hopefully everyone on track sees the checkered flag. Just 3 laps remain. Lap 28 of 31. And now Shakes and Dean go side by side yet again, but this time Shakes does get the superior traction and he's into the lead before the final corner and over the start-finish line. The Williams leads the way. Remember, both those cars have penalties. Shakes with a 3-second penalty, Dean with a 5-second penalty. So that Williams is comfortably ahead now. As for Kev, down in 3rd place for Alpine, he still has the benefit of having no penalties attached to his name. So if this gap were to remain the same for the next 3 laps, he would claim 2nd place. Seems like that 5 seconds really could come back. To affect Dean's race in a very negative way. It's quite obvious now that he is going to the end of the race on that set of tyres, as is Kev. I think if Kev had a fresher set of inters at this point in time, we'd see him closing up on 2nd place. But really just maintaining that gap, and now I notice that their tyres are exactly the same age. Biggest winner in your race in terms of positions gained, MJ in 9th place. He found 7 positions. It's going to be a close one for driver of the day, because your top 3 have all made up 6 positions. The top 3 started in 7th, 8th and 9th. And that just shows you it's not all about qualifying. It's about consistency and race distance, and how many safety cars are going to come out, and if you're going to cause one of them. I usually cause one of them. No change at the front, just Shake's getting further and further down the road. He's really trying to cement his victory, make sure of it. As for Dean, he's in 2nd, but Kev is 3rd with that 3.5 second gap, 5 second penalty. So Kev is currently in 2nd, but now he's coming under heavy pressure from Notsumi. And I wonder if this battle for 3rd might just let Dean break that 5 second gap. Does make the gap a little bit bigger, but not big enough. In fact, it hasn't affected the gap much at all. 3.2 seconds. The only difference now is the man in 3rd is going to have the superior tyre. So can he make the difference? But he only has 1 lap to do it. Don't think he's going to make the pass on track. Doesn't have any penalties. 2nd place, pretty much in the bag. Must be so frustrating for the driver with the penalty. You know you've done all the hard work to bring this car home in 2nd place. Luck played out for you on the night and you got track position. And then it all comes down to one little error that you probably would have never made on another night. And it's going to cost you positions, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can defend all you want. And now those tyres, I think those tyres really showing their age, because the Mercedes gets well out of shape. And that allows Notsumi to make the pass on circuit. And he goes up into 2nd place. As for your leader, where is he on track? He's about to enter Sector 3 on his final lap. Lap 31 of 31 in this 50% distance race. Imagine this was a 100% race and we had already lost half the field. And there we go. Shakes goes around the final corner. Had a real up and down race. Led the race. He was in 2nd, then he led the race. Then his race went backwards. And then he was able to get his way back up the field into the lead. And very nicely done. Kev, he comes over the line, and as I say that, he gets out of shape. And he's going to manage to get over the line in 5th place. That was a Red Bull unlapping itself. Thought there was a cheeky Red Bull up the inside there right at the end. Bantry Star 6th, Cheddar 7th, waiting now for Shane. That'll be the next car over the line in 8th place. Not the points he would have wanted on the night, but nonetheless, making sure to stay in the race and just get that handful of points. Do not want to start the season off on 0. He goes over the line. And there we go. Let's just wait for your official race results. So I'm sure penalties will still switch one or two things around. And there we go. There's your official Singapore results for JPR Season 8, Round 1. Shakes wins the race. Very nicely done. Not Shumi finishing in second. His name missing from my screen for some reason. Then we've got Panda third. Dean in fourth. Kev fifth. Pantry Star sixth. Cheddar seventh. Shane eighth. MJ ninth. Henno probably a lot closer to his teammate than he thought he'd be. And he makes up the points paying positions in 10th place. That's also all of your finishes. Not finishing the race for various reasons. Destroyer, Dan Ritfeld, Ulrich, Apmagozi, Top Gun, Venom, and Nuclear Monkey. Brad, I don't believe he ever made the lobby. To everyone who did join us for the stream, and everyone who may be watching this later on in the week, I know we get many more views after the race. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with less technical difficulties. And I look forward to see you then. Cheers, guys.